This is Courage Barbell, and I'm your host, Chad Ikes. Today, I want to talk a little bit about belts, powerlifting belts to be specific. This is another one of my little pet peeves that I see a lot of people do wrong. You know, there's this misconception out there about how people wore gear to lift more weight, but you wear belts and wrist wraps and knee wraps to help prevent injuries. Oh, bullshit. Every piece of gear that we put on is so we can lift more weight. Let's just be honest about it. And a belt, if you wear it right, can help you a shit ton. Yeah, it helps support your back. It can help prevent some injuries. But like, I've strained my back with my belt on. I've popped my back out with my belt on. Like, you can still get hurt with this shit on. I mean, let's just be honest with it. Let's just be honest with ourselves. All gear helps us lift more. You can bench a little bit more with wrist wraps. Some people bench a lot more with wrist wraps. So, let's get that out. Now that that's out of the way, I see so many people that wear their belts wrong. And I know this because for years and years and years, I wore my belt wrong. Some of my first meets, if you ever saw me when I first started competing, my brother would come with me and we would stand facing opposite directions, foot to foot, and he would wrench my belt down and I would get it as tight as I could get it because that's what I saw everyone else do. And I thought, oh, that's how you do it. You got to wear your belt tight as shit. Which in all reality is one of the dumbest things you can do. And it's going to make you get the very least out of that belt. Now, a powerlifting belt is the same width all the way around. They're generally very thick. Now, they're thick, which makes them rigid. And I've seen a lot of guys when they get a brand new belt, like that thing's stiff like a board. And they'll keep it like that, thinking that, oh, it's rigid, it's stiff, that's what I want, which is not true. You have belts that are 2-prong, single prong. You have lever belts. I've seen ratchet belts. I hate 2-prong belts because a 2-prong belt is just that much harder to try and get both prongs in. And if you do compete, why do you want more shit to think about when you're going to lift? Like, I see guys out there struggling and they get one prong in and they get the other prong in, and you can tell it's stressing them out. Like, if you're going to wear a prong belt, just get a single prong. Do you really think one prong is not going to hold it and 2 is going to hold it better? Like, that's bullshit. One prong's fine. Me, I like lever belts. I ended up, when I competed, I would wear 2 lever belts because my bench belt I would wear lower, more or less just to help keep my shirt in the right position. And then when I squatted, I'm looking for the absolute most support I can get out of it. So I just had 2 lever belts. You know, you switch them depending on your weight that day early, and then I don't have to think about it. I don't have to struggle to look for the hole. I don't have to have somebody else try to tell me where the hole is. Like, all I got to do is clip it. I'm ready to go. Why on earth do you want to deal with all that other shit when you should just be thinking about the lift you're going up to? I mean, you're already on a timer. It freaks a lot of people out. Let's just cut everything down to this most simplistic nature. That's a lever belt. Okay. The other thing I talked about, it being this same width all the way around, and people thinking that it's good, that it's really stiff. Stiff is not good. The reason this belt is so thick is because you don't want the belt to stretch. A really thin bodybuilding type belt, when you push against it, it'll actually stretch. And we don't want it to stretch. Remember, a brace isn't sucking in. A brace isn't tightening up your abs. A brace is pushing out 360 degrees. It's using that diaphragm to shove everything down and build this IAP in here. So what we want is the thicker the belt, the more you got to push against. And the thicker this way, the more you have to push against. The thicker this way, the less chance there is of it stretching. That's what we want. That's why these are powerlifting belts. And you want to get the most you can out of that belt. So when you get one and it's brand new and you're like, oh yeah, that's great, it's really stiff, I like it. That's bullshit. Like, you should work that belt. When you get, I had a client come in the other day with his new belt, and I go, all right, well, you warming up, let me work that thing out. And I mean, I'm just going like this, and I'm bending it, and I flip around the other way and I bend it. I put them on the floor and fold them in half and roll them like this. Like, you want your belt like this because you want it to contour around your body. So a stiff belt is not a good thing. You get a brand new belt, work the shit out of it so it's like this, so it's floppy. That's what you want. All we're looking for is that it don't stretch. Now let's step into where to wear your belt. I see a lot of people want to wear their belts down here. You're losing tons of power wearing your belt at the bottom of your body. My guess is people get upset if they have that little pooch sticking out right there, and they're more worried about how their pooch looks than how much weight they look. Squat 1,200 pounds. Nobody will give a shit how you look. What you want to do when you have this belt on, you want it to be, and if you're skinny, like me, I am skinny now because I'm down under 300 pounds. But when you have this belt on and you still have a little bit of a belly, like you can see, you want to go in the biggest portion of your belly. If you're skinny, you're going to need to go and push your brace out and then kind of see, like if I have this belt on and I'm pushing my brace out, I should have some muscle stick out here and I should have some muscle stick out here. Or I'm getting both, because that way I'm in the biggest portion where I can get the most push against this belt. Now, when we're talking tightness, the standard for me has always been 3 to 4 fingers. So let's see if my own belt is set up correctly because I lost a bunch of weight. You want to be able to go, okay, yeah, I can put 3 to 4 fingers in there pretty easily. You know, if it's a smaller person, I might go 3. Slide it in there easy. Okay, that's good. Like, if you can't work your fingers in, that belt's way too damn tight. Now, what I'm going to have them do is I'm going to go, okay, I want you to brace against this belt as hard as you can. You should be able to slide the fingers in easy. And then when they're braced, it should be hard to pull them out. That actually hurt my hand. So that's what you're going for. And if you're new or you're just learning to brace, you may have to tighten the belt up a little more because you're not going to be able to push that brace out as far. But that's the goal when you're working your bracing, is you want to be able to push this out as far as possible. And the better you get at it, the more you're going to push out. So there's going to come a time when you start bracing correctly all the time, that you might have to let your belt out. So just be aware that it may change over time where your belt is actually going to be. Now, I also want to cover, you see some guys deadlifting up here. And I'm not the biggest fan in the world of that, but I've seen some guys pull some great deadlifts that way. And I think what's happening is they're usually conventional deadlifters. And what happens is with their belt down here, they get this horrible pinching and stuff. So they'll wear their belt higher so they don't get the pinching. So you're still getting a decent brace against it, but not the brace that you could. And if you don't believe me, put your belt down here and brace against it. Put it up here and brace against it, and then put it here and brace against it. And actually do a lift with all 3 of those versions, and you'll see that this is, without a doubt, the biggest, best, strongest place to put your belt to brace against it. Now, a lot of times what I'll do to kind of test if people are wearing their belt correctly and if they're bracing correctly, for me, my belt would give me over 100 pounds, probably somewhere around 100, 125 pounds. I would work up to a box squat raw to see what I could get. I think with no belt, it was around 750 or something like that. And that would be a tough one. I would throw my belt on and we'd be getting close to 9 with the same amount of exertion. So that's also going to be a ratio. You know, if you squat 200 pounds, you might not get 100 pounds out of it, but you should be getting 50 or 60. If you squat 500, you should be getting close to 100 pounds out of it. And that's if you're wearing your belt right. The other thing, one of the other cues that I like that seems to work well with people with their belt is I tell them stretch the belt. Like, you literally want to try to stretch this belt. I should look at the holes on your belt, and you should see them start to oval out over time if you're really pushing against it. Because that's what we're doing when we're pushing, when we're bracing. I mean, you can see right here. I mean, I'm pushing the belt out. You can feel how the belt wants to slide right here. So we're trying, when we're bracing, we're really trying to stretch this belt out. So that's a little tutorial on wearing your belt right and actually utilizing it to get the most weight you can out of it. So give that one a try, guys. There's a lot of different brands of belts out there. I use the Elite FTS belt. All the belts are pretty much the same. It's just whether you want to go single prong or lever, screw 2 prongs. There's no point, there's no need. It just adds a little more aggravation to the whole process. So that's about it. Please like this channel. Please subscribe to this channel. Please comment on this channel. Please follow my Instagram. Please share this channel. And let all the other lifters you know that need some cues and need some tips and want to get stronger, let them know where they can go to find out some great information. That's it. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm out.